Have you been playing much ladder today? How's it been going?
Hold on, I have to turn off your stream because I'm getting confused.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay. I have not been playing a lot of ladder. I just pretty much finished up work.
Okay, cool. Hopefully not too stressful a day. Hopefully we've got energy, we're focused, we're mentally engaged, I hope.
I'm pretty good today, yeah.
All right.
Tomorrow's gonna be a rough day, but today was pretty good.
Good, good. If it's a real tiring, stressful day, it's hard to think about StarCraft sometimes. So, good to be getting right on into it. Okay, so yeah, make sure you shoot me an invite to party in game. You said we're on friends list from MLG. I've never been to MLG.
You're on my friends list. I thought it's from the MLG, but I don't
Who
remember
knows?
because I used to play like long time back, and then I took a really long break, and then I started playing
Yeah.
just recently. And
Maybe
you've
we're
been
like
on
in the
my
same
friends
clan or
list.
something, like back in Wings of Liberty early days
I
or
don't
something like
I don't
that.
know. I just know that you're here, and I don't know why. I don't know how.
All right. I don't see you on my one, so you
It
shoot me an
it
invite. I've like culled most people off my list just because my friends list it used to lag you. There used to be a bug, and I'm always paranoid that it's gonna come back. So there used to be a bug that it will basically the more people in your friends list, your game would actually lag and like drop frames, which was kind of
so you can
hilarious.
remove me from yours, but you're still in mine.
Which
I
is
thought
cool.
it's like, isn't it not mutual?
I think there's different ones. So yeah, you can just add someone to friends, or at least you used to be able to. But I think like real ID friends is definitely a mutual thing. I don't know, man. The system's weird. Like if you're like real ID is like where it's like, your overall BattleNet account as opposed to just that StarCraft account, I think. So
Hmm.
I think that one's different. Anyway, awesome, man. So this is going to be our first of 5 sessions together where we can kind of work on some stuff. Just from kind of, skimming through and reading what you'd written.
Yeah.
Um, Let me just start. So I'm always going to put notes just kind of underneath this info at the top of your document. Um,
Right.
and it's going to kind of go downwards as we go. So you see here, I'm going to write a heading. Do you have a second monitor to like read that while we're
I
also
have
in
two
game?
monitors. Yes.
Beautiful. 21st January 2020 or 20th for you. Um, but yeah, okay, cool. So basically, some goals for today. Obviously, we want to check through your mechanics, just so I understand how you play. How you
Okay.
play. We probably want to just then go straight into your weakest matchup or whichever matchup you'd prefer. Usually, we should just go by weakest matchup, but we'll see. And the idea there would
It's
be
very clear if you look at my race report.
awesome. We're gonna open that up. Um, because you wrote that you don't really have very clear game plans and stuff. So I
I
guess we
don't.
we,
Yeah.
we want to identify if we what sort of style we want. But we also want to talk about, defining things in more detail, builds in more detail, understanding baseline versus reactions, etc. And depending on if we're playing more cheesy or aggressive, or if we're playing more macro and reactive, then it will affect things on kind of where we go from there. But awesome. So you're killing Protoss, doing okay versus Zerg, and getting wrecked by Terran.
That's right. Mostly mech though. Like I really don't understand mech at all.
Okay.
Bio seems more straightforward, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing versus mech.
All right. Well, that'll be the beginning. Figuring it out, coming up with a plan, and then learning how to put it into effect. Obviously, you're not going to instantly win with it. You'll need to get a lot of experience versus mech once you've actually got a game plan down. So you're not going to leave today and instantly win your games, but you'll be on the path to getting to that point, right? So while we do this, let's check your mechanics first of all. So if you can grab a ZVT versus mech preferably, or even just a
I
regular
mean,
ZVT, and we can get that replay going.
I mean, I could play you or one of your viewers, or I can see if someone in my clan wants to.
Okay, you don't have any replays of recent games,
Oh, you
or
want
you
to see a
think it's not
replay?
really, or you think it's not really worth it because you don't really have a game plan for ZVT versus Mech.
I mean, it's probably not worth it, but right. I guess we could look at one.
Okay. All right, we'll just read through your mechanics quickly then and go from there. Do you control group your eggs? No. So you're not control grouping eggs. So you're barely using control groups. So you are selecting all army, and do you do a lot of manual control, or is it almost all select all army?
I try to control, like, I'll have like spellcasters or something on a separate control group.
But like, what if like you're getting dropped a lot? Like for instance, I mean, like, do you just start kind of boxing everything and manually moving it around, or do you just throw down a lot of spores to compensate? Like, if there's a lot of harassment and fighting going on all over the map, like,
Oh,
what do you?
if it's like two sides, then yeah, then I try to have like two control groups.
Okay.
But that's like yeah, just like in rare cases. Like if I have mutas, then I'll have a control group for the mutas. If I have like spellcasters, I'll have a control group for the casters, and I always have a control group for my queens. But other than that,
Do you have another control group for your creep queens as well, or is it just every queen injecting and creep queens all in the same control group?
no, it's just a creep queens. Sometimes I stick the other queens on there, but most of the time it's like I build extra queens at the hatcheries so they can inject.
And you just go camera hotkeys. Are you just
Yeah,
using
camera
F1 to F4 for camera
Yeah,
hotkeys? All right.
exactly.
So what did you put idle worker on and select all army?
I don't have an idle worker button.
Okay, but if you need to use it, you can just control click on the button on next to your mini map, and you can select all your idle workers that way.
I is that okay? Yeah, but no. But the weird thing about that is it only selects one worker
If
at a
you
time.
if you can control
Oh,
click
control.
it, because it's the
Control
same,
click selects them all.
Yeah, you know how control click is like double click? It's the same. It selects all. So yeah, if you control click on that, it'll grab all of them. So that's actually just like a really useful kind of little mechanical note.
Okay, that is useful. Yes.
Okay, so control plus click on idle worker to select all. So what did you put select all army on?
It's tilde. So it's
Awesome.
right at the front
Yeah.
of the like hotkeys.
No worries. Awesome. Okay, cool. What else we got here? So, okay, so we are using camera hotkeys for 4 bases. We don't use alt control group scaling. Of course, we're not using hotkeys very much. Okay, so mechanically, this is going to make it very hard for you to progress as like a late game player. Like going 4 or 5 bases for you, there's just going to be players who can multitask better than you and harass better, and you won't really be able to keep up until you relearn control groups. So that's fine. We want to play not necessarily crazy all in. There is 1,000 things between going 6 base Broodlord, Viper, Infester and going 1 base Lingbane, right? There's 1,000 steps in between there. But essentially, for the mechanics you're using, since you're not using control groups very much, you're not going to be very effective at being able to split your army up, being able to put Zergling spotters on the map, because the reliance on F2 means you're going to be, losing that map vision. It means it's hard for you to both defend backstabs and backstab your opponent at the same time without running your whole army around. So essentially, this kind of just means you're a little bit less flexible when the game gets to managing tons of stuff at once. So because few control groups and stuff, what I would advise is that we want to focus on mid game pushes, early aggression, good tech switches, and well thought out decisive plays that look for advantages, right? We don't want to sit back and just kind of sit on our ass because, I mean, like I said, we're going to struggle mechanically to kind of defend 6-7 bases and do all of that late game stuff. What do you reckon? Is this something, you agree with, you disagree, you're open to it? What are you thinking?
I mean, we could start there and then we could see how it goes. If it's a big thing, I could try to also learn control grouping. I remember I used control grouping before. I don't think select all hotkey existed when I used to play.
No, it didn't in Wings of Liberty.
And so
it came out in Heart of the Swarm.
When I came back, it was like a trap, a pitfall. I don't know. I was like, oh, that's so easy. Why
Dude,
did I have this before? And it's like I'm gonna use this all the time, and then I just muscle reflex like memory. So
you're walking down to the basketball court, you know, you're like, okay, let's go get some exercise, let's feel good. And a cop just like rolls down the window and is like, hey, you want some needles with some heroin in them? And you're like, okay, I'll take it.
Exactly, that's what happened.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I'm like, this does make the game more accessible, but it also is so addictive, and for so much of the StarCraft population, it's made it very hard for them to transition into using control groups. And for me, it's always been like, wait, like, you know, I played RTS since I was a little kid, so the idea of not using control groups is kind of alien to me. But what I get sad about is when I see people who can't break that habit, and then they just can't be as flexible. And like, especially if you're playing Zerg, it's so fun to do backstabs. A lot of what Zerg's about is having like little squads hitting your opponent from behind, setting up big surrounds, you know, defending drops with small squads while attacking elsewhere, and all this sort of stuff, which control groups is kind of important for. It's incredibly important for. So in terms of if you want to work on that or not, the reason I'm steering away from just saying, oh, we should do that, is that something which takes a while to work on. I think in the long run, it's amazing for your play, but you'd need to be very dedicated at learning it. So, I mean, what do you do for like work or school? Like, do you play an instrument at all or anything like that? Like, what other like hobbies or skills have you kind of developed? Just because I want to be able to draw comparisons to other stuff you've learned.
Well, I my work is just like technical, like programming.
Okay, cool. So you code?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that, and then my hobbies are like miniature painting, like Warhammer.
Hells yeah.
And then just family stuff, I guess. Other than that, or StarCraft.
Programming's good. All coders and people who program generally are pretty good at learning things, and setting up systems. So that's something I would say you'd probably be okay at. You just got to be patient. So, if we choose to learn control groups, this is what it would look like. And you just talk out loud your thoughts as you read this, as I say this. Let me know if you want to go with it or not, and then we can, you know, just so I know what direction you're going to go. The important thing is to stick with it if you're going to do it, right?
Well, yeah. Maybe I can practice that in between our coaching sessions and see how it goes. And then for now, we could start with like mid-game stuff.
Yeah. We definitely wouldn't be practicing it here because it would take too much time, right? It's not worth your money just practicing it with me. I'll tell you how to practice it, and then I'll leave you with it for sure. So remove all army hotkey is what you'd have to do, basically. Can add it back a few months from now, but not for a long time, basically. It's a bad habit, right? When you're forming new muscle memory, you need to stick to the new thing. Game gets intense. Oh, fuck. I gotta just grab my army. You can't give in, right? That's why we remove the key. We remove the temptation. Some people still end up clicking on the button, and I say, you need to calm the fuck down and stop caring about winning so much, because you'll never learn if that's the thing. And I've coached people like, oh, I just keep clicking on it. I can't stop. And I'm like, you need to queue up a ladder game and expect to lose, right? Like, you're changing the goalposts, right? For the first week or two, could be less than that if you're really good at learning. You will never get it if you don't actually commit those. So some people are like, I'm trying to learn it, but they're not actually, because every time you click select all army or you rebind it and you use it, you ruin your muscle memory. Your brain just gets confused because it's like, in this situation, do I do the old thing or the new thing? And it basically makes it really hard to form that new kind of, this is the thing, and this is my response. I want to select my shit. This is the response, right? So we've got to like retrain our brain to make that happen. So it takes a bit of discipline, and the more disciplined you are, the faster. To do it, you got to practice 20 minutes in an empty custom game before each ladder session. So that you're like about to queue ladder. Wait. No. Get in empty custom games. Just queue them up. Practice out a build order. And what are you doing? So you're basically practicing a build order, focusing on control grouping eggs. Do you know how to control group eggs?
Yes.
Cool. So with every production cycle, by default. And and just getting used to that can be absolutely huge. You can also do a little bit of control group stealing practice if you want, which is Alt plus a number to steal onto a separate key. That's bonus practice, if you understand that. But that really comes only after the other stuff, if you really want to. Essentially, it's just keep control grouping your eggs, and then practice running your army around. And splitting it, etc., you know, as if there's drops coming or whatever, right?
We have a guinea pig who will play mech.
Okie doke, awesome. Great, fantastic. All right, so that's the control group stuff. We can. Do you reckon you're going to bother learning that, or do you think we'll just stick with what we've got?
No, I'll do it. I'll just see. Like maybe next time we set up time, I'll let you know how like if it's going well or poorly. And
yeah, and whether or not you're going to commit to it. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Give it a go. Do try to commit really hard, because the whole thing is if you don't commit hard, like it just won't happen. And there's no point. You might as well just kind of drop it in the first place, which is fine.
Right.
Like I said, we can play around the mechanical restriction. It's not like it totally hamstrings everything we're doing. We can still do a lot of shit in a StarCraft game. That's going to be awesome. It's just we're not going to be quite as fluid. That's all. So yeah, it's not about winning. It's about forming new muscle memory. You can do a lot of practice. You know, your ladder games as well. Same thing. It's trying to use the new mechanics, right? Each ladder game is about the new mechanics and following your game plan. You know, your game plan, etc. Not winning. So you could do this on unranked. Some people don't like to lower their rank. Some people just do it on their main. And, you know, they say if I lose 300-400 MMR, that's fine. I'll get it back, right? Doesn't really matter, right? It's not like you're becoming a worse player. Some people have a lot of trouble. They just are incapable of separating their ego from their MMR, though. They're like, that's a reflection of how valuable I am as a human. If I lose MMR, like I get really upset. And obviously, that's something we should all try to break out of. It affects us all to some extent. But anyway, let's stop dilly-dallying. I've given you some homework. I've got a whole list there. Refer back to this document. That's awesome. You can do that. We'll talk about it next time. For now, ZVT versus Mech. All right, what's your normal ZVT versus bio? What's your composition? What's your compositional strategy?
Versus bio, I play Lingbane Muta.
All right, so you're playing Lingbane Muta. Yep.
If it goes
Ultras?
like late game, I'll add ultras.
All right. And do you ever go brutes?
No, I hate brutes. I feel like they're like really weak.
They're definitely not as strong against, like Thor's wreck them now, but otherwise they're still an amazing unit against siege tanks and stuff. But ultras are great as well, so no need to force our way into those.
I don't find I have much issue with like Marine tank. If anything, Marine Widowmind is a little bit harder.
Yep.
But like it's not as bad as like Mech. Like
yeah.
Even if you get like a few infestors, it feels like you can kind of like come back even from behind. But versus Mech, it never feels like there's anything you could do from behind, and even if you're ahead, it feels like sometimes there's nothing to do.
Well, what I know you said you don't really know what you're doing, but what do you change? You know it's Mech. Surely you don't just keep massing Lingbane Muta, right?
No, versus Mech, I go like I try to get roaches. I try to get actually, okay. If it's like mass doors, like Hydras seem to work really well. Like Ling Hydra works well against like mass doors. But if they go like mass door like tank, then I feel like I've tried every single composition and it just doesn't do anything. Like Broodlords get destroyed. Everything on the ground gets destroyed. Mutas doesn't work. Infestors don't really work.
All right.
Like
so we're just
Hydras don't really work.
Yeah, we're just gonna play Roach Hydra Viper into lurkers. This is my current verse mech style. It's really fun. I would have used to teach people into Broodlords because the Thors are so much better against Broodlords right now. We just go lurkers instead. Lurkers are pretty sick at killing planetaries. If they're not guarding it, you can just run up with 10 lurkers, burrow on it, and you'll kill every SCV and like three-shot the planetary. It's very nice. Abducts are awesome as well. That's something that takes skill to use. How are we with our Viper control?
Actually haven't used Vipers too much because they're a new unit.
Yeah.
To me, so I don't really use Vipers a lot, but I guess I could try to
Yeah.
use Vipers. Lurkers is actually a new unit too, I think. It wasn't around when I was playing.
Yeah. Vipers and Lurkers, both new units. So the Viper is the key to crushing mech generally. Like, I would even encourage you to maybe just play Roach Hydra Viper. Just as like practice, where it's like keep the composition simple, you know, and just get good at that first before moving up to the Lurkers. Even if we lose the games, it's always good to do that sometimes. Like sometimes, you know, you're playing Lingbane Muta, and if you're new to it, you don't really want to go ultras, because like you should work really hard on trying to just win with Lingbane Muta every game and like get good at that, rather than like, oh, I fell behind but then the ultras won me the game sort of thing, you know. So sometimes it's like you limit your composition just to force yourself to get better with it, right? So that's like a really good way you can turn your ladder games into practice. You just kind of focus yourself on that. So anyway, let's just hop in and try a game. I'll try to talk you through it. This may be a nightmare. If it gets too stressful, I'm just going to pause and kind of talk you through what we need to focus on, because it's weird. It's weird with someone talking in your ear. Some people can do it. Most people can't. Hopefully you're one of those rare people who can do it. So anyway, host up a game. Go US West if you can. Or whereabouts are you again? I'm trying to remember. You're East Coast,
I'm in Toronto.
All right.
Yeah.
Just give me a minute. I will turn off my little thingy-majig quickly.
I don't know. What is a thingy-majig? Oh, and
nice.
explain what the hell a waste man schedule is. What the hell is that?
That's where you wake up at like 6 p.m. in the afternoon and you're like, what is the sundown? Is this yesterday? Yeah, you don't know. It's when you don't know what day it is every time you wake up. Basically, it's what most pro gamers have. It's where they're like, I finished my practice. Now I'm watching anime for 7 hours or something. Or yeah, it's just something a lot of the pros joke about, and
Right.
especially end up in when they're just getting back from things. So, anyways, sorry, just let me. So host up your game. I will. Right. So what server is it on once you've hosted?
How do I check?
Typical American doesn't even know how to change their preferred game server. Go into your language and region in your menus. A lot of people don't realize.
Language and region.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's set to US East.
US East. All right, thought so. So.
Well, Central is like less ping, actually. That's weird. Western's only 78. I guess it's okay.
Yeah, I think the East Coast server might actually be in like Florida or something, which is, you know, whereas Chicago is obviously closer to you. So
you want me to change it to West?
No, it doesn't matter. I'm just quickly deleting my firewall here, which blocks me from spawning on the US East server. Okay, and I'll add that back later. All right, can you shoot me an invite?
Yeah.
So I should be able to join now. I have the US East server blocked. There we go. Just make me the referee, and whenever you're ready, go for it.
All right.
All right, sweet, man. All right, so the important thing is obviously do your normal build order, and I will have general criticisms I'll write out here in my document to take forward, but just do your normal build order. Once we realize it's mech, we're going to get roaches up, and we're going to rush to hive for vipers, and just roach hydra viper, and try to get the hang of this composition. So good luck, mate.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
All right. So, yeah, this is kind of, I'm not sure how far we're going to get with exactly what we're focusing on in this game, guys. We'll see exactly what we can do here. What's that? Is that the map? No, that isn't the map. That is my green screen above my head. All right, let's go. So, all right, there we go. All right. West, Central, East, and it also has Singapore, Brazil, and Australia, all within the NA region. They consolidated a whole bunch of them onto the one. Yeah. Okay. Practice game versus arm leg. So I feel like what we're gonna see here is some interesting stuff, because obviously like this is a tight build order so far, right? This all looks tight. This all looks pretty good. Uses camera hotkeys, for instance, which is like pretty amazing, and actually will help make up for the lack of control groups quite a bit. But yeah, we're gonna kind of see exactly how this goes. So hoping that it's a relatively solid opening. So basically, reaction to Mech. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can do, but I guess we need roaches ASAP, right? Roaches ASAP. 4th base plus gases on it ASAP. Drone straight to 85 workers. Double upgrades, and then basically Roach Hydra Viper. Then add Lurker Den and upgrades plus Lurkers after first 5 Vipers. So we'll try to do, yeah. So notes and details. We want OVs on edges. Spotting for Hellion and drop / Banshee / BC harassment. 6 roaches separate from army on opposite side, ready for Hellion run-bys, which people should always go for. Nice quick third. Oh, this is, yeah. Ah, Sloppy, where are the lings? Oh, he could have, yeah, if arm leg was faster, he would have lost that creep tumor. That, poof. Dangerous tumor on natural. Lings need to be further forward to stop it getting sniped. Lucky he wasn't watching this game. And to be fair, if you're not playing super high level Terrans, I guess a lot of the time they won't be looking for it, but I mean, we're at Masters 2, Masters 1 MMR here. Warlock X is currently Masters 2, but is, you know, bounces around between Masters 1 and Masters 2, so has a Masters 1 tag next to the name, for instance. Did pull off gas. It's just put back on gas at 335. Is droning pretty well. Now adding more queens. This is a solid rule of 1 gas opening so far. So we're going for a 345 Roach Horn, which is very well timed. We have like no Zerglings, which is definitely a little dangerous. I do like the Overlord sacrifice. And then we're stopping at 5 queens. So Roach Warren's earlier than we need it. You don't really ever need a Roach Warren this fast, unless you're actually trying to use the Roaches to defend the Hellions, in which case you probably want it even faster. So I feel like we can probably delay that. So I think we can delay that Roach Warren 15 seconds, because now we're going 9 queens, but we haven't used the Roach Warren yet. Oh, he's trying to do a surround on the Hellions. He's kind of getting it, but that's very gambly going for that sort of maneuver. Ling's chasing Hellions off creep. Bit of a gamble. You're doing good. Try to run some Lings into the base if you can at some point. Just to get more scouting, because we don't know if it's Mech or not. You can also just send one of your other Overlords through to check what's going on. In the meantime, let's just keep pumping out those drones. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. So you shouldn't have necessarily gone with all the Lings. I meant like scouting Lings, but I mean, there's a hole in the wall. Classic Terran play. Hellions can't get through that either.
Well.
Shit. Only building 1 overlord. Should be building like 7. Yeah, you got it. So 4th base is down. Roach Warren's down. Okay. Still didn't. He didn't actually check up the ramp. Yeah. So it was real important for us to actually send a link up the ramp. We would have seen factories. Let's imagine we spotted that. So we know it's Mech, okay? So your lair is very late. We definitely want to work on getting this faster in future. But for now, what do we do when we know it's Mech? We drone really hard. Immediately take a 5th base. You shouldn't take this 4th ever because it only has 1 gas. So it's not good versus Mech because we need more gas. So we want to take a 5th and we want to take gases as quickly as possible. Keep droning for a little bit more, and the idea is the moment that lair's done, we need to go straight infestation pit, straight Hydra den, and we want to be going range and carapace because we're actually not playing Lings and Banes. Remember, we're playing a ranged army here, so we don't need the Baneling nest, and we want carapace over melee. Yeah, he's kind of that's a Hydra Bane tech. That's a Hydra Bane tech upgrade. You can play Hydra Bane Swarmhost. It's its own thing, but yeah, I mean, I guess I could offer him that option as well if he doesn't want to play Roach Hydra Viper. But either way, you're gonna need to do some advanced micro, some control group and whatnot. We need those gases up ASAP. So you also took another base that only has 1 gas. You meant to take the base below your main, but you should take those gases when you take the hatcheries. So you should already have drones mining from that gas even before the hatcheries finish. Same on this bottom base. Got to get those gases up ASAP, mate.
Okay.
You need to go straight for that hive when this infestation pit finishes as well. And then as soon as the hive finishes, straight for Vipers. Take hatcheries with multiple gases. Mineral field depleted. Take the gases at same time as hatch goes down. First Mech. Immediately rally drones to those gases also. So. Mineral field depleted. Game paused. All right, so we're gonna just pause for a second here. All right, so. We're spending our gas on lots of things that we don't need right now. Melee, pathogen glands, Baneling nest. None of that stuff's important because we want to play Roach Hydra Viper, right? So it's really important because Vipers cost 200 gas each. Even though our hive's really late, we want to be able to build 5 Vipers. The moment that hive finishes, that's 1,000 gas. And you're about to go into Hydras, so you need to start getting those 2 Hydra upgrades right now. That's another 300 gas, right? Plus building Roach Hydra, mostly Hydras at this point, right? You've already got like 13 Roaches. That's enough. We want more firepower, mostly Hydras, right? Once you got 10, 12 Roaches in front of them. So, yeah, don't overcomplicate things by going for like all these different techs, like pathogen glands and that sort of stuff. If you want to let melee finish, that's fine. Like Ling backstabs are always useful later in the game, but we would rather go carapace, just to make our Roaches and Hydras a bit better versus the Hellions. So let's cancel pathogen. You're doing a good job now starting to get those gases up. So think of it as like that habit, by the way. It's like when you go to take your 5th, it's like you just box a bunch of drones. You go build hatch, build gas, build gas. Click them all down at once like you did on this top base. And then like a little bit later, you can always just like build 6 drones and click them straight on the gases, just to like get it up as quickly as possible because that gas is super important. Other than that, you can also just start a lurker den now as well. We're not going to go into lurkers for a while. It's going to be mostly Roach Hydra Viper to start. But yeah, let's get back into it. All right. I'll see if your opponent's ready. You good? You ready to go?
I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome. All right. We'll just see when Armleg says okay, and I'll count it down. Good luck, mate.
You fell asleep. Okay.
Say what?
I said he fell asleep. I was just...
Oh, no worries. Awesome, man. All right, we're good. Go, go, go. Kick some ass. Game resumed. Our forces are under attack. All right, so notice how there's no overlords on the edges. So Hellion run bys could come in and smack us real bad, which is definitely real scary. So like if your main army's down here, you would have 6 roaches up there is the way you would do this normally. But yeah, like let's check that both Hydroden. Yeah, both Hydroden upgrades went up, which is good. All right. I'm not going to tell him to split his army or anything, because, like, I don't even, like, you know, he doesn't really use control groups much, so there's, like, not that much we can do with that. But, alright, five Vipers right away. Your hive just finished, so we're going to get 5 Vipers and kick some ass with them. Nice. Get those next upgrades on those Evos, and get that Lurker Den going. The opponent doesn't really have anything. It's like pretty small. Like they're getting a lot of bases, but they have almost no units. So like we could have actually just killed them with a Roach Hydra A move in this game. But that's fine. We don't need to tell our student that. We got to work for other sort of game types. So heaps of roaches here, 16, a few more than I'd like normally. Yeah, he's got to suck energy, but he doesn't. Does he have? Okay, he's control grouped him, so that's good. Yeah. So he's queued up the energy. That's good. Yeah, he's fast enough at clicking, and his mouse movements and everything are fine. Oof, queued them all in the same buildings. That's dangerous. Whoa, break that. Don't ever do it all in the same building. You can go attack now anyway. You've got basically 2 abducts on each Viper, most of them. So you got to group up. You can send individual units ahead to scout. Behind this, we want to get those Lurker upgrades queued up. And normally you always leave 6 roaches separate from your main army, because Hellion run bys. So, you know, you can just send a few roaches down there if you can and get across the map and basically just start abducting units. And just make sure you get those Lurker upgrades on the way before you get your attack started. So yeah, he's struggling really hard to like split his army up and stuff. Like that's way too many units down there and stuff, but it just doesn't have a lot of map vision, you can see. Like the opponent's just queuing up Hellbats and he's really struggling with it. So yeah. You can see here the inability, the control groups are the big handicap for sure. So like we should have been trading with these Vipers minutes ago. The big delay earlier was the delayed lair. Lair was very late.
Our forces are under attack.
Needed to split units off. Just gonna Blinding Cloud. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the abduct. In this case, Blinding Cloud is the right call.
Oh.
He fucked it up.
I didn't expect that to go so well, actually.
Viper's good unit, mate. Get more energy with them. So with your Vipers, you want to queue them to suck off different buildings, right? So rather than doing 5-on-1, you queue them to go like, oh, 1 on the hive, 1 on the Bane Nest, 1 on the Hydra Den. You do have some extra Evo chambers that finish, so you can use those as well. The idea is you take a fight like that, you get more energy, you go again. All right, get those upgrades going on your Evos. We want to keep upgrading our Roach Hydra Viper Lurker. For you, with your current mechanics, I mean, you can just build spines at each base, which is great. But once you get better at control groups, you can also leave some roaches around at some points. You've got heaps of money and drones, so you can afford to build spines everywhere. Yeah, get more upgrades going, range and carapace, and then go for another big Roach Hydra Viper attack and just keep, you know, abduct is usually what we look for. Just grab a bunch of units and kill them. But if you get another, you know, clumped up tanks like that and you can surround it, you can do the Blinding Cloud. But normally you want to just abduct units, yoink them into your army and kill them, and then go back and get more energy. And we just keep doing that over and over again. Yeah, so no vision ahead or anything like that. So spam changelings all over enemy bases so we know where and how to engage. See, he's struggling with 2 control groups a little bit. Needs more practice. Oh, this is so awkward the way he's executing that. He's very slow at it. Yeah, he's real slow with his abducts. He's getting better. That one was not as bad. And he should disengage now. Let's see if he knows. He should definitely not just stay. Yeah, he disengaged. Good. I don't want to tell him what to do in a fight like that. I want to see what he does, so I see if his instincts are in the right place, and it looks like they are. He's building 4 more Vipers, more Hydras, which is great. Awesome. Did make both lurker upgrades? Yeah, he did. He's got 3-2 on the way and stuff. All right, so we want to, you know, make sure we get Overlord speed. You've already got it. So yeah, you want to grab a bunch of Overlords and using your deselecting, just be like, hey, go poo on that base, go poo on that base, go poo on that base, just to make sure those bases can't be taken too easily. And we also want to just start, you know, sending units around to make sure our opponent doesn't have 16 bases, right? Mech players slow, they're immobile, they can't really defend all their bases, okay? So like any extra expansion other than his like 4 that are in the pocket, 4 or 5, we should be able to attack into really easily. So, you know, attacking down the south side seems like a good target for the next one. You can also start making lurkers if you want, or you can just stick with Roach Hydra Viper. Lurkers deal more damage, but a little bit less mobile, a bit trickier to micro. So yeah, this is interesting. I think he's handling things okay, but like, you know, just like the fact that we've just left this all open, right? It's awkward. Oh no! Oh damn, those Hydras. I mean, those Hydras can slow this push down a little bit, but yeah, let's go to yeah, and at least this is forcing siege up, so that's actually really good splitting by him. Yeah, if he loses this base, it's not even the end of the world. Look at that. That tank almost went down to spines. How often do you see that? Yeah, he's actually draining this army really well with these Hydras. Oh, don't go in there. What's he doing? Oh, he's going to clump up in a ball. He's putting himself into a kill zone. Like, the blinding clouds are good, but his units were not spread before the fight. So, really awkward. Still had some more energy. Would have been nice if he dropped a few more blinding clouds. So, that 16-minute battle, some nice parts, but yeah. 16-minute fight. Could have pre-spread. And attacked from the south. Units all clumped around the terrain from one direction. Was okay to lose the base. Just need to take efficient fights. Alright, yeah, your Roach Hydra can keep attacking if you want and veering around and looking for base snipes if his army's not on it. But you need to rebuild the Vipers, and you didn't do that. You've only got 2, so remember to rebuild the Vipers anytime there's a big fight like that. And keep denying these bases, keep looking for angles where you can surround him, or you can, you know, attack a base that's exposed out on its own. And you're going to find usually a mech player, they're not covering every base at once. So there's always an angle you can attack from. So I love the way you're kind of rotating around the map now, looking for these denials. No need to be so afraid. You got 7,000 minerals, 5,000 gas. His army was actually not in position. You could have ran up there with your army and tested the waters a little bit. But hey, found his army. Oh, no. Pull back. Get out of there. No. Never take a fight like that. If you're not ready for a fight, you always either dive on it immediately and commit, or you run away. But never take a fight like that where half your army's already gone, and then you kind of pull out and pull in. So get more energy on your Vipers. Same with the previous fight. If they're pushing and you're not quite ready, just pull back an extra screen or 2. Give up a base if you have to. Just wait. Just always try to spread out so you come in with like 2 sides or from a gigantic arc, and then sync up your army coming in with your Vipers at the same time. So like right now we need to pull way back, and we need to, you know, just give ourselves the time we need. So get more energy on those Vipers, and spread your army out to come from 2 angles, you know, come from a different side, maybe even cut off the reinforce or something like that. So like, yeah, there's some real, like, I don't think he can win this game because the opponent's made 27 tanks. And he's, like I said earlier, he didn't rebuild the Vipers, right? And he kind of let this army move across the map. But, Broodlords would be a free win here as well, by the way. Just one wave of Broodlords would be amazing. But yeah, not enough Viper energy, right? So even though it looked great at the start, and this is about as good of a fight as he could possibly take, you can't break 30 siege tanks, not without more Vipers, right? So, Alright, let's also make a Spire, just so we can slowly work our way to Broodlords, since he's going pure Siege Tank. But for now, get more energy on those Vipers, keep making more Roaches and Hydras and Lurkers, and just be real patient with these engagements. Remember, it's not the end of the world if you lose a base. You just need to keep your Vipers alive, keep them gathering energy, and change your rally points to further back, and just kind of regroup and wait for your next engagement. And always take a really nicely organized one. So you can see he's trying to set up flanks, but he's doing it like right next to them. So you want to actually spread so much further back. When surrounding and flanking setups, always do it from multiple screens away. You're always too close and getting blasted and kited into the tanks. So what's happening is these Roaches should be here and here, right? These Roaches that were sitting here and here should have been here and shift click to move there and then there and to come in from behind, right? So it's really like important to be like very detailed with that. This is also a situation where I probably would have gone for a Dux again and just picked off some tanks and pulled back and got more energy. But yeah, he's just not quite comfortable with the unit. He's very new at it, and especially with the control groups being, not quite as organized. He struggles when the units are popping out of the hatcheries because he's got to kind of, he can't tell the eggs to change where they're going. So that's something which, the thing is, if you're control grouping eggs, you can be like, oh shit, he's pushed up here, and you can change your eggs to pop out and run to here, whereas they were going to run to there and get themselves killed otherwise. So that's the advantage of control grouping eggs. It allows you to do a much better fighting retreat and kind of falling back and readjusting of where your units are rallying to, which is super nice. So the Vipers still haven't sucked energy. Let's max out that Viper energy. Alright, so for this game, where Terran's probably out of control, probably got it. But I just want us to try and take a few good engagements for the rest of this game. And if we can do that, I think that'll be huge. So, get the Viper energy together. And I wouldn't mind you practicing some abduct. So one of the big things is you keep moving too close to their army. You can kind of threaten them sometimes and do that, but yeah. Unless you're ready to fight, you got to be real careful with standing too close. Drop another round. Good abducts. Good abducts. So remember, you want to suck more energy on those Vipers. Rebuild a couple of them. And this army can attack straight to the left right now. There's a base there. So just A-move that. But make sure your Vipers are getting energy. That's that F2 habit hurting us. They keep getting pulled away. It's all good. Cool, so we got a base here. Once we kill these top two bases in the top left, we can, I mean, we could even try to go for the production if you want. See if you can push down, since you did just wipe out a huge army. So you could kind of push towards their production, or we could just kill this base and then rotate around and go to the bottom right of the map. Either way can work. He builds so many extra roaches here. Good versus aliens, not bad versus Thors, real bad versus tanks though. So, and not that big damage dealers compared to the Hydras, so it can work. It's gonna have to really take the right engagement though. And obviously being so low on money and drones now, it's rough.
Are under attack. Vespian guys are exhausted.
Yeah. If you can drop changelings out of those overseers, by the way, and just spread those across your opponent's bases, it's so useful because then you can like see kind of what's going on and where the army's moving. Good shit. Yeah, let's hit that bottom right. Nice.
Vespian guys are exhausted.
So these changelings, you know, you can kind of see, hey, where's my opponent's army at? And our arm leg's just pushing, pushing, pushing. Ravage is being morphed. Not a big fan. Not a big fan. I think it's a waste of money. I think it's a big waste of gas. I think. Yeah, and get straight into the next base. He's in the top left, so we want to kill more of his bases and run your drones down to the bottom right-hand side of the map, away from the top left. F2ing Vipers into missile turrets hurts me. This base should have been evacuated fully as well, or at least partially. There's a lot of idle drones right now. Holy fudge. Where are those Vipers at? They're hanging back. Oh shit, he's on the rally. Terran player with his pants down. Armleg's not watching, man. Oh my god, he's gonna lose a whole lot of Thors here. Armleg's screwing the pooch a little bit. Wait, he's... Oh, he's about to get sandwiched. These tanks, if they siege up correctly, it's gonna be a little awkward. He's got like another section of his army there. Was this planned? Was this a masterful flank? I don't think it's gonna quite work. No. Oh, actually, they've got full energy. I mean, some nice blinding clouds there. These 4 tanks, though, do massive damage. Oh my god. It's not enough. He's done it. If he gets on these tanks... Oh, another 4 tanks. It's enough. It's enough to hold. Okay. I was like, oh my god. Alright, desperately try to take more hatches and get more gas mining. You've just killed all of his mining bases, remember? So if you can do run-bys and stuff, that's going to be amazing. And if you can just get up more hatches, more gases especially, that's going to be great.
Mineral field depleted. Our forces are under attack.
Oh, he can swarm this tank army. He's got it. I can't believe he's going to win this game. This is such a wild game, man. Oh, he's got to go for the tanks. Yeah, blinding cloud. Big bump, big. Ooh, juicy. Juicy Lucy, and that's a GG. Oh, can't believe he won this game. It's crazy. Is the new meta going for ultras against mech? I haven't seen it myself. I don't know. Have people been doing that? I haven't seen it. Yeah, each league split into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 orcs blocks. Yeah. Few Vipers, a lot of Roaches and Lings. Should really be retaking this hatch as well with the amount of drone money that he's got. If Warlock can get more gas mining up, can use all that minerals. Hot damn.
That was rough.
That was a crazy game, man.
Okay, now you understand my troubles.
Yeah. Yeah. The end of that is me going from we can. I mean, if we play without all-inning against mech, we 100% need to get rid of that F2 key. Yeah. Basically it just made things so hard there with like the Vipers kept having their abducts interrupted and their consumes interrupted where they suck the energy and stuff. You did really freaking good for someone who hasn't used Vipers all that much. You did a great job with it. I think definitely like if your opponent has a bit more anti-air or is in slightly better setups, you'll find there's more scenarios where it would be more abducting, whereas he was just doing these gigantic tank pushes, like endless screens of tanks, where often Blinding Cloud was the better spell in some of those scenarios. Some of the fights were pretty bad, though. We couldn't get enough, surface area with our Roach Hydra closing, and Blinding Cloud does run out pretty quickly. Overall, what is the biggest points? I mean, definitely I think it kind of reinforces there just that, if we can get used to the control groups, that'll help us out. Other than that, we needed a faster lair. Our lair was very late that game. So, I mean, in general, it's nice to make a lair. If you're up against the Hellion opening, there could always be Banshees or something. It's always good to have a lair, right? So, I mean, we can build a Spire if we really want to make Corruptors to deal with the BC, but more importantly, the Overseer for Banshees is pretty key. How do you figure out when to take your lair normally?
Um, I I guess when I stop building queens, it's like
Yeah.
because there's usually queens building. That's like the main thing that's blocking it. So should I just stop building as much queens and just get a lair?
Yeah, well, I mean, I like the heavy queen play. It makes us more solid versus BCs and everything. Let's just cut the last queen from the main. You went up to 9 queens, 8 queens will do us fine. So it's just at that moment where we just queue up 3 more queens on our 3 hatcheries at like the 5-minute mark or whatever, we just start our lair then. Whereas you were building another queen and then another 30, 40 seconds after that making the lair. And that just delayed our infestation and stuff and our vipers too long. Whereas if we get the vipers earlier, we can sometimes just win. With the first viper attack, can be pretty insane. You actually got a very fast roach warren. Do we always go for a fast roach warren, or is that just because you knew he was playing mech?
I tend to get a early roach warren if I see like too many hellions like piling up on his natural, because I
Okay.
have my overlord over the natural, right?
Yep.
So if I see more than like 6 or 8, then I start to feel like I need a roach warren.
Okay. Well, in this game, you took it when there was like 2 hellions at the natural. So there's probably some
Yeah.
inconsistency there, right? So that's something where I think dropping the roach warren, if we see a lot just as safety, can be fine. It gives us a head start against mech as well. Whereas if we go banelings, they can help against hellions and hellbats and everything. But obviously, like, hey, if we got 8 roaches out, that's the beginning of our army against mech. So that's awesome. I think as a general rule, we don't want to get that roach warren until like 4:15 at the earliest, right? So can delay the roach warren because you got it at 3:45 that game. So it finished and you were still building lings though. Like you just built 20 plus lings and you're building 9 queens. So it's like 9 queens and 20 lings kind of defends everything until you're talking about like 10 hellbats and, you know, a bunch of marauders, like one of those crazy all-ins. And even that, if you go 9 queens, like they can do really good. So I would say roach warren can get delayed to like 4:20 or so, like 4:30. Like if you see 6 or 8 hellions, you drop a roach warren, that's totally fine. Just that game we went for it a bit too fast. That's all. So if you're doing a solid queen ling opening, like your opening was really tight. I was really happy with it. We don't need to panic about getting a fast roach warren or baneling nest because we've got great queen production, and that won't change. Skipping 1 queen in the main, doesn't make a difference. Having the extra queens in your main did actually save you from liberators twice in that game though, which was kind of funny.
Right.
Liberators kept sieging on top of your hatchery, but you had 2 queens each time, so you'd kill the libs and it would kill a queen, and then another queen popped and another lib came in and you killed 1 queen, and then you
Right.
finally made the lair. So I mean, obviously we should normally have spore crawlers against anyone going hellions, right? Because normally hellions means there's starport as well. So we should always build a spore by default. What do we have a timing in our head that we would put down spores if we don't know what's happening?
It depends. If I feel that they're gonna go like battle cruiser or something, then I try to get them earlier. But otherwise, I get them a little bit later.
Well, what if it's banshees then? We'd be pretty ruined if cloaked banshees rock up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's say 4:45 just by default. 4:45 spores versus any hellion play. That's just a standard thing. That'll just keep us safe. It's a bit earlier than we needed for BCs. It's if your opponent's really tight with their build, it's not actually early enough for a banshee. It's definitely not early enough if they go liberator first. But at least it's like it's there if they do come just slightly late with their banshee, or if the lib comes in a little late, it'll
Well,
be there.
how do you know where to place your spores though? Because I feel like if it's in the mineral line, it's bad versus like anything that they do that's not banshee. But if it's not in the mineral line, then it's bad versus banshee.
You should always have it in the mineral line. The only time you want it behind the mineral line is versus liberators, but even then, you don't know it's a liberator. And the thing is, they can always siege the liberator from the front of the hatchery rather than the back.
That's what I'm saying. They usually go from the front and rarely from the back. Usually it. So do you?
Well,
put it
yeah,
on
it depends
the
on the
closer
players you're playing.
side?
You always just put it in the middle of the mineral line. So the big problem a lot of players have is they go and put it behind and shit, especially against battle cruisers. I've seen a lot of GM players who build their spores behind their mineral lines and between their bases. There's only one thing you need to protect, and that's the workers, against a battle cruiser especially. So even when you get a second spore, it's 2 spores in the mineral line, one kind of on either end of the mineral line, but hopefully both covering it. Because otherwise the battle cruiser can just like fly through and just kill all the drones and kind of find a sweet spot. But you've always got to move and adjust versus a Liberator. Having good Overlord vision will help. There's like tons of little notes that I've written down here in the document. So let's read through some of those real quickly. Little things like, you see we've got overlords on the edges for spotting Hellions and other harassment. That's really big. So something against Mech, putting overlords on the edges is just incredible. It just gives us so much early warning of those Hellion run-bys. But the other thing that I have as part of my default verse Mech play is if my main army's in the top of the map, I got 6 roaches on the bottom of the map covering my base. Because I know Hellion run-bys are going to hit me there. And that shit pulled you around. You know, there was like a minute or two because your opponent just kept queuing them up, kept queuing that stuff up. So yeah, having that just kind of prepares you. And obviously Hellions can still run in and kill a lot of drones, but you know, at least you're going to shut it down, replace the drones, bam. You don't have to run around chasing your opponent's army. Spam changelings all over the enemy bases. That really helps with giving you vision. So that way you know where their army is, right? You know, oh, there's a few tanks here. Sweet, run up, abduct them all, kill them with your army, run away. So you can do these hit and run tactics, right? Or you can go, oh, the whole army's in a big clump here. Come around with my army, flank from 2 sides, collapse on it, blinding clouds, and just wreck them, you know? But there was a few moments in that game where you were going across and you didn't know where stuff was. So you were kind of a little bit like, ooh, what am I pushing into? What am I going into, right? So there's this mechanical rhythm where you're just dropping changelings and just sending them in like every 30, 40 seconds once you get into a real action-packed mech game. And if you know where their army is and you kind of know what the defenses are like, you start taking really good trades. There's also other things like queuing up small squads of units or individual lurkers to hold position behind mineral line. So even if there's a planetary fortress, you can go just send units to hold position behind the mineral line out of range of the planetary. They'll kill the mining SCVs, they'll kill the gases. And that's really frustrating. So the same way he just kept queuing Hellions and Hellbats into your mineral lines, it was really annoying and it was doing damage. You can do the same thing with Roach Hydra. The Overlords pooping on the bases was amazing. That did so much to slow down his re-expanding after you sniped them. He had to build a missile turret next to one of those Overlords to chase it off. Overlords pooping on bases to deny them. All this sort of stuff is huge. I think definitely control group practice will be big, but also you're just getting better and better with the Roach Hydra and the Viper already. There's a lot of movement you can do, a lot of great things you can do. I think the build order, the opening's good. We already talked about, take the gases a bit faster, rush those Vipers out as quick as possible. I think you did pretty damn good with it. I think first time executing a build order, this was actually awesome. So I think, you can only get better from there, right?
Yeah. Okay, so when should I be trying to get Hive?
As quickly as possible.
Okay, so
yeah, literally don't delay it for anything. I mean, if you see him on 5 factories with only 2 command centers and he's just making tanks and Hellbats and he's coming across the map at a ridiculously early timing, right. I mean, that's pretty friggin' rare, a 2-base mech all in. But if that happens, obviously, maybe we don't need that Hive, right? We just need more Roaches and Hydras and whatever, right? But usually 99% of the time, it's just go straight Infestation Pit, straight Hive, straight Vipers. And you can analyze your replays for that. It's how quick after my lair did I get my Infestation Pit down? How quick after my Infestation finished did that Hive start? When the Hive finished, how quick was it before I started the Vipers? And when you're first getting used to it, there'll be a lot of downtime between each one. 10 seconds here, 15 seconds there. All adds up, right? So sometimes you'll end up being a minute... you'll end up being a minute faster on your Vipers, and that's massive. It makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
What about if they open the... sometimes they open with Cyclone Hellion, and it just feels like you have to keep building units nonstop.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so... versus battle mech. Oh, actually, I'll put this lower down. Sorry, let me put that down below the notes. I mean, versus battle mech, basically, it's just make a shitload more roaches off 3 base saturation is essentially what you do. And then you basically split 20 of them off, and sandwich them, or backstab, and just, you know, charge their base with a shit ton with your whole army, right? Basically, the way cyclones work is like they're really good distance, right? And they can weigh you down, right? But they if they're up against the wall, or if they ever get trapped, they just disappear. They die so quickly, and they don't get enough time to deal damage, really. So like, if they're actually being safe against that, they've got to start building tanks pretty early. They can't just keep building cyclones. So like, if you go and make 70 roaches and try to kill them with 70 roaches in an all-in attack, and they only made 4 cyclones and they just went into tanks and they got like all these tanks behind a wall, obviously you fucked up, right? You know, well, it was only 4 cyclones. You should have been able to flank them with just 10, 15 roaches, come in from behind when they're pushing in on creep and just kill them, right? Or come from 2 sides. So anytime you can come from 2 sides and flank them, that's huge. In the meantime, when you're buying time, basically it's just break vision, right? Whenever you can. When buying time, spreading creep constantly and replacing it, and doing, you know, back and forth micro to break the lock-ons, using high ground, right? If you sit on the edge of a ramp, they run up it, you kill 2 cyclones before they even realize you're there, using high ground to ambush. All that stuff can buy heaps of time. Queens up front is another thing, because they can tank a shitload. If they have mag field, and transfuse. Magfield doesn't affect queens, because Magfield only gives bonus damage to armor, so it allows them to destroy roaches. Queens still won't be able to do shit. Yeah. Any other questions popping into your head?
3 base saturation, you mean like full 6 gases or just minerals?
Yes, it would be. We'd say gases as well. Technically, if they're really, really piling up the aggression, say they go like 2 factory, no starport, they can maybe force you into mass roach a bit earlier. Like you might be like already building like 10, 15 roaches, and then finishing off all your gas saturation, and then going up to like 30, 40 roaches. But roughly speaking, yeah, 3 bases, about 66 drones, 6 gases, etc.
Okay. I need to practice this shit. It felt really wonky to me doing it for the first time.
And it will. So I mean, I really encourage you to focus on this control grouping to break this F2 habit. So I would say go into your hotkeys, like read through that list, remove the all army hotkey. Every day before ladder, practice an empty custom game, practicing out your build. Just get used to control grouping your eggs. Make that an automatic habit. Build around your units, control click the egg, add to control group, 1 or 4, whatever army group you're using. Really visualize how you're going to move those armies around. Start getting used to, like, in the game, like you could do this Roach Hydra Viper build, right? In an empty custom game. Start moving number 1 and 2 around. Move 1, move 2, move 1, move 2. Oh, okay, let's grab some units, split them off the control group onto number 3 as our defense squad. A couple of roaches on the other side of the map. So go through, practice that out, really grind it, and it's going to take a while. So I don't expect you to really be able to put in the practice against Mech and to get a lot better against Mech, because you got to just focus on that underlying mechanics, and that's going to cover all 3 matchups, right? Learning to control group eggs, getting used to just being a bit more organized with that, breaking that tilde button, that select all army habit. It's going to take a week or 2. So give it a couple days. Shoot me a message if you're struggling with it. But generally speaking, like I said, it's about letting that muscle memory just settle into your brain. You're making neural pathways. You're just kind of getting used to, in this situation, I grab my army on 1 and I A move rather than tilde A move, right? Just retraining all the little basic steps. And if you focus on that real calmly, real patiently, even in 1 week, you should start feeling like not too bad on ladder with this. 2 weeks should feel totally fine and used to the new system, and it should feel really good. Yeah.
When you control group eggs, do you ever find that sometimes you end up with drones in your army, though?
So you're meant to build your units in cycles. That's how control grouping eggs work. So,
but sometimes it feels like the larvae sneak in there. It's just like those sneaky larvae. Even in their pictures, they look sneaky.
Cheeky little wormy fuckers. Very, very rarely. If that happens, it's because you're doing things too quickly. So just slow down and just make sure if you control click it properly, you should be fine with it. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Write down all the things like that happen. You're gonna have mistakes, issues, things that confuse you. Write it all down. Record it. Save replays that you want to talk about in future. And hit us up after a few days or a week of practice and let me know when you want to set up another session.
Okay, cool.
All right, man. Have a good night, brother.
Thank you. Have a good night. See ya.
See you, man. All right. Good first session there.